Welcome back. We thought it would be beneficial for you to hear firsthand from some of those clients exactly what they have to say about the experience of working with Bill. First, I had a very pleasant conversation with Don Levitt. Don's been working with Bill for about the past 18 years. He's been working with him on a personal portfolio that he has and also in business. Listen in, you'll see what I mean. Before we get to Bill, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I was born and bred in Texas, and I guess I'll die here. I'm a local builder in Denton, Texas. Have been since 1971, and I've known Bill for about 20 years, and we've probably done business for about 18 of those 20 years.
Sheesh. Boy, talk about a long-term relationship. Maybe you could give us an idea as to what kinds of things you're working on with Bill.
Well, Bill has a personal portfolio on me, investments, real estate, stocks, bonds, that type of thing. He is a financial planner, but I also use him in my construction business because he can get a loan for people, if they got a little blemish on their credit or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He can go out and help me get the interim financing for them, along with permanent financing, because he works with a world of financial institutions and mortgage companies and that type of thing, and he seems to have a place to put, everybody.
Boy, that's got to mean a lot to you, especially if you're in the middle of building and, whew, scary, huh?
Yeah, it's real scary. And, of course, you get an appraisal on a piece of property, and if it takes you longer for some reason than 6 months to build it, then it has to be reappraised or something. So, and you never can tell when a mortgage company is going to kick something back on you, and like I say, in the last week or so.
Oh, boy.
So, it's just, he has a lot of dedication, and that's one reason I like Bill as a personal friend, but also as an acquaintance, and do business with him.
Hey, Don, if someone were to come to you today who was seriously considering working with Bill, what would you tell them about your experience of working with him over the past 18 years?
I can't think of a bad experience with Bill. And I would say that he would be, dedicated till the project's done. And Bill doesn't get ruffled. I mean, he doesn't get excited about anything. If he does, he never shows it. He's very professional and doesn't let the pressure get to him.
What's the deciding factor, do you think, that really convinced you to work with Bill and keeps you working with him today?
Well, I like to do business with people I know and have known through the years and are personal friends of mine, if they have a service that they offer me. And like I say, Bill's dedicated, he's very professional, and he doesn't get ruffled, and those are the three things that I like and require.
Richard Hayes has been working with Bill since 1983 on personal and business, medical and life insurance, and a variety of various financial services. Here's how our conversation went. How are you today, Richard?
Doing great.
Great, glad to hear it. We're going to be talking, of course, about Bill Biggs, but before we get to Bill, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm the managing shareholder in the law firm of Hayes, Coffee & Berry. We have 7 attorneys, practice civil law.
How long have you been working with Bill?
Since about 1983. He has provided us medical insurance in the past, life insurance, a lot of services in regards to real estate and real property. I've had a number of cases as a lawyer that were insurance related, and if I needed an insurance question answered, since he's a certified life underwriter, I could call him and ask him technical questions and let him be my lawyer in interpreting the insurance policy and how the insurance companies look at it.
Could you give me a couple of words that come to mind that describe the service you feel that Bill has provided for you?
I think he's a tireless worker. I don't know anybody who works more hours on less sleep, than Bill. He's just a high-energy person. And he has a very broad knowledge. And when you combine high energy with, knowledge mastery in a number of areas, he's just helpful on almost any matter that I've had to go to him either personally or for clients.
Why Bill Biggs? What was the deciding factor that convinced you to work with Bill?
Good service and, breadth of knowledge, accessibility, just a genuinely good person.
In closing, are there any other comments, anything else you'd like to add that might help someone else to make an informed decision about working with Bill?
I think if they will give him the opportunity, he will build up a rapport with them and earn their trust. And I think they'll find that the alternatives that are presented and the way in which he executes or implements, the alternative that is selected, they'll have better than average results.
Next, I spoke with Tom Niederauer. He's been working with Bill for about 20 years on insurance and investment services. He says Bill's comprehensive and hardworking. Listen in. How are you today, Tom?
I'm fine.
Great, I'm glad to hear it. Could you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I am a city planner for the city of Colleyville, which is just outside the DFW airport, home of all the sports stars. And I do a lot of zoning, land planning, consulting work. And have known Bill for a long time. I've done business with him for about 20 years.
Could you give us an idea, Tom, as to what kinds of things you're working on with him?
Yes, well, primarily insurance, some investment advice and so forth, but the specific business over time has been insurance.
Do you feel, first of all, that Bill has a good handle on and understands what it is that he's dealing with, and is he able to pass that on to you?
Yeah, I've always felt very comfortable with Bill. He is, and I forget these terms because I'm not in the business, but he's highly rated in the insurance profession. I forget what those titles are, but I know he has achieved most of those that insurance people go after for their own credentials. And I forget what those are called, but I have found him to be very, very satisfactory and knowledgeable in the business compared to other insurance people that I know.
Tom, if someone were to come to you today who was seriously considering working with Bill, what would you tell them about your experience of working with him?
I'd say to hold on. He's a very exciting guy. He works hard. As I mentioned earlier, he's a very comprehensive thinking person as well as how he handles his business. Very creative, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Very creative.
Which is not what I would normally call a creative business. But I guess anybody can be creative in any business.
There's a lot of people out there, and I'm sure even to this day that you still get solicitations from insurance companies and people that want to show you a better deal at a better rate and so on and so forth. A lot of choices out there. What was the deciding factor that really convinced you to work with Bill in the first place?
Oh, he's just a great guy. He's very sincere.
His sincerity, yeah, that would do it. I think in these days, sometimes you feel like, do you feel like he's in it for the long run then, obviously?
Oh, yeah, and let me clarify, when I say sincerity, I certainly don't mean somber. He is an extremely enjoyable person to be around, very lighthearted kind of guy, and I just really enjoy his life. And but again, very sincere about the business. Knows what he's talking about, but he's fun to work with.
Tom, I want to thank you for your time. And in closing, are there any other comments or anything else you'd like to add that might help someone else to make an informed decision about working with Bill Biggs?
Oh, just like I said, when you get ready to work with Bill, hold on. You're in for a ride.
I also spoke with Bob Ingram. He's been working with Bill for about 15 years. He says that Bill is timely, professional, and trustworthy. Listen in. How are you today, Bob?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Before we get to Bill, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm recently retired. My last occupation was a social worker, counselor, family, a son and daughter. They're grown or almost grown. And my wife is still working at a job that she likes very much.
What are you doing in your retirement here? You having fun doing something in particular? Or?
Well, it's amazing. I'm seems like I'm very busy. My wife doesn't drive, so I take her places. And there's 20 years of things to do around the house that I've put off.
Were you one of these people that actually kind of started to plan for retirement some time ago and really did a good job at it?
Well, no, I think I was just investing in rent houses and houses to be fixed up. And that's how Bill came into the picture. I live in Flower Mound. He works in Denton, where my rent houses are. So it was really more convenient to turn all that over to him.
If you could think of a couple of words, or just to sort of summarize in a couple of words, the service that Bill is providing for you, what words would you use?
Well, he's it's certainly very timely. He's very professional. Has my financial interest at heart.
Would you say that he's knowledgeable in what it is that he does?
Yeah, he certainly is. He's knowledgeable and capable and very professional.
Mm-hmm. If things get a little confusing, is Bill able to help sort things out and clarify things for you?
Yeah, that always seemed important to Bill, that he explained to me that, what we were doing next on this contract or that problem. He wanted me to understand what I was signing and why he was doing what he was doing.
There's a lot of people out there in the financial services industry. So why Bill Biggs? What was the deciding factor that really convinced you to work with Bill?
Well, he just seemed, very open, to my questions and to my problems. It seemed like he could almost anticipate, what kind of problems were going to come up and discuss them with me.
Any other comments? Anything else you'd like to add that might help someone else to make an informed decision about working with Bill?
Well, I have always felt, that I could trust Bill. I think that's the most important thing, is that I could trust him, that he, would do the right thing by me financially.
And finally, I spoke with Jim Lassiter. He's known Bill for 40 years. He's been working on a variety of services with him. Jim feels that even if he and Bill had not been friends for as long as they have, Bill always has the client's best interests at heart. Here's how our conversation went. How are you today, Jim?
Just doing just fine.
Great. Glad to hear it. We're going to be talking, of course, about Bill Biggs, but before we get to Bill, tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a music teacher in Texas. Teach band. Going to start a stage band next year. That's about all I do except mess with computers.
Well, let's talk about Bill for just a moment. Now, how long have you been working with Bill?
Gosh, I've known Bill probably for 40 years.
Really? Some time then. And so you go way back.
Yeah.
Could you give us an idea as to what kinds of things you're working on with Bill?
Well, investments mainly, but he handles my insurance, and I pretty much just turn everything over to him. I've known him so long, I just he tells me when to write a check, and I write it.
Wow, that's great. So obviously,
I do have a lot of confidence in him.
I was just going to say, if you could sum up the service that you feel that Bill is providing for you in a couple of words, what would those words be?
A couple of words, I would say excellent. He's the type of person that if he can't get me the kind of product that will be best for me, he will advise me where I can get it, and he's done this several times in the past. For instance, I was living in the country one time, and first time I'd ever lived in the country, and insuring a house in the country is a little different than insuring a in-city house. And he said he couldn't compete with another company that was right down the road from me, so he told me to go to them. And they did save me quite a lot of money.
So he really does have your best interest in mind, and there's an example right there.
Absolutely.
Do you feel that he's knowledgeable, Jim, in what he's doing?
Yes, Bill is a workaholic. He spends probably 16, 18 hours a day working. He's very dedicated, and he's working for his clients.
Sometimes these insurance agreements and contractual things become a little complicated, a little wordy. Is Bill able to explain it in terms that you can really understand and you feel clear about what coverage you have?
Well, as much as my understanding can assimilate, but he takes his time, and he paints a picture for me. Let me say that.
Let me ask you another question. If someone were to come to you today who's seriously considering working with Bill, what would you tell them about your experience of working with him?
I would say he's probably the one man that I found in business that I absolutely trust.
We hope this gives you a better idea as to what clients already doing business with Bill have to say about the job that he does. If what you've listened to on this tape makes sense, we encourage you to call Bill and schedule an appointment. As you've heard from the previous testimonials, we think you'll like what you hear. Thanks for listening.